The concept that I have is, what are some of the things to get rid of repetitive tasks? I was just tired of getting stuck. And so these tools are helping me out. So we're really trying to create it so that you're one and done and there's better accountability. So the line will, if you miss something, you can miss something little, it could blow up the line. Nothing's perfect. But if the systems save us 95% of the time, we can go focus on being proactive. My goal here is to, little by little, create a system that things don't fall through the cracks. We're going to see situations where we can get more done with less work. If you can think about it, you can dream it, it can be done. You are going to end up being a manager of the AI. So somewhere in between pens and jet engines is the world.
We've been doing this podcast for over 20 episodes now, and we've brought on top mortgage professionals to give you insights that help you grow your business. And we're going to keep doing that. There's just one favor I ask of you. It'll mean a lot to us if you subscribe to show your support. Now back to the episode. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Loan Officer Playbook, the podcast where we talk about real insights and strategies in loan origination. Today my guest is Juan Huerta. He actually just showed me how to pronounce his name, so I hope I didn't mess that up. Juan is the Las Vegas lender. His tagline is "Not all loan officers are equal." So I'm super excited to have him on the conversation today. Welcome, Juan.
Thank you. Thanks for Michael.
So Juan, one of the things that made me wanted to schedule this is you have a really interesting stack of AI and how you use it for, and then you have use cases that you use it for. Can you tell me how you came up with this AI stack?
Well, there is an element of trial and error, right? And maybe there's a little element of luck as well. And so for me, the concept that I have is, what are some of the things to get rid of repetitive tasks, right? And so as far as the stack's concerned, I've tried ChatGPT, and you have Copilot and Gemini. So one of the let me tell you the starting point, and then I just made a change yesterday on how I'm using my email. But I got a little video on Perplexity. And because again, do I use Claude? Do I use this? And there's all these great tools and they're always changing. And so Perplexity's model was they pick the AI for you, right? Which again, I don't know how that works, but it doesn't matter. And they have a computer version where you can literally have it do tasks for you. And it's done some really amazing tasks for me. So part of it was a little bit of trial and error, but it's really been easier to use than I thought. And so to me, I'm still working on that. But Perplexity also helped me set up my Gmail. Because part of the problem as a loan officer, and I think a lot of people have this, is what emails should you be looking at? And I have ADHD, right? It is what it is, right? And so if I don't shut down email, I got problems, right? And so my goal here is to, little by little, create a system that things don't fall through the cracks, right? That they get forwarded on to my assistant or whatever. And the smarter the AI gets on that, like to alert me, this is an email that needs to be read. And so that's really kind of where I got it. And I just, whether I got lucky or not, I kept getting these videos comparing, and I picked Perplexity. So that was the starting point there. I don't know if there's an add-on, but the other thing that I recently did is I really have been using Outlook as we use Gmail, and I filtered through Outlook because I don't like the way Gmail looks. However, Gmail doesn't use folders, it uses labels and meta tabs and all that, and has much more flexibility. So I am now a Gmail convert. And that also gives me the ability to leverage my stack better, because Perplexity can literally look in my Gmail, I can connect my Salesforce to it, ADI AI pops up. And so it's more seamless than going through Outlook. And I'm also tired of Outlook closing down on me.
Yeah, you mentioned
here's the summary. Hopefully that made sense.
A few points there. We'll talk about Perplexity later, but I want to say, email is a real problem in lending. Email is one of the biggest pain points that you have, because there's so many emails that you have to manage, and you have Perplexity, which is doing some management of emailing for you. Is it doing labeling? What does it do? Is it doing drafting?
So there's layers to this, right? I think you hit it on the head, but some of it has nothing to do with AI. It's also using better tools. So for example, with my team, to basically say, guys, take me off of every email that I don't need to be on, right? And if I need to be on it or there's an email, assume I haven't read it, and you just call me, because there's all these emails. And the reason why there's an issue in the loan world is because so that everybody covers their bases, people tend to hit reply all. right? So one task is, hey guys, assume I'm not reading any emails. If you guys are on the emails, just assume I'm not reading them, right? Because I can get distracted. Now, a lot of loan officers don't have that confidence in their team, and so they want that accountability. So that's the main reason why everybody wants to be informed, but it creates this block, right? And so that's one of the things that we're trying to deal with. And the other thing I've tried to teach my team is, if you can avoid an email, don't do an email. So if there's something that doesn't need to be done, but I got to get out of my head, put it into Arrive and say, action item, right? And then obviously it is sent to their email, but whether they get an email or not, it's actually recorded someplace else that's got a single repository. So I'm really trying to think about this intelligently so we can, because what does everyone do? They search their emails. Did I do that or did I not do it? So we're really trying to create it so that you're one and done and there's better accountability. Because in the loan world, if you miss something, you can miss something little, they could blow up the loans. People are concerned. So we have to trust our systems, right? Nothing's perfect. But if the systems save us 95% of the time, we can go focus on being proactive rather than reactive.
Yeah. Do you see yourself as sort of like a manager of these AIs that are doing the work, and then you're sort of like checking it to make sure that, number one, the AI is right, but also the AI is doing an interesting job at checking the entire loan file to make sure that nothing slips through?
I think you hit it right on the head, is that you are going to end up being a manager of the AI. You're going to see situations where we can get more done with less work. I could see a time in not too distant future where, if you know the Six Sigma, have you heard of Six Sigma?
No, what is that?
So Six Sigma is, if you look at it, it's invented by General Electric, and it's this idea you have a bell curve, right? And if you're a math geek like me, one deviation from the mean covers 67% of the outcomes. Two deviations, I think, covers 96%, right? So, and then Six Sigma covers something, because it's way at the tails, is like 99.99999. So Six Sigma is for things like jet aircraft engines, where the cost of failure is really high, right? Two Sigma might be fine for things that like pens or whatever. So somewhere in between pens and jet engines is the loan world. So we can't get to 99.999. That's too expensive, the cost to do that. And so what's the magic number? Is it 95% accurate or 99? And so to me, that's where these tools can help us, so we spend less time trying to figure out. You'll see little mistakes that are made, and you can track it, and you can be like, nobody really made a mistake. You could see where somebody was not included on an email. Here's a big one. Someone should have been included on an email, but they weren't. So to me, I'm going to write this down, whether it's Perplexity or Fixer, is to put in a rule that says, if you see an email and all of a sudden my team members have been pulled off, create an alert. I'm sure I can do that with one other tutor. And so what I'm trying to use this for is really a comfort level that, look, it might slide a little bit, but it's not, the plate isn't going to hit the ground. If we're still going to catch it.
Because these AI tools are going to help you organize your thoughts. And then actually, it's much better to be like an ADHD person, because you can have all these agents running at the same time that can do things.
That would be great, right? And I think there's some component to that, because what it ends up happening is, so I kind of did a little bit of a deep dive on ADHD, because I have created systems around it, but the last couple of weeks it's like a flare-up, right? And if you look at how ADHD affects some people, it's just super hard to get started. And it's not like we procrastinate or have any issues, right? But I also learned we have what's called time blindness. I can have these situations where I feel like there's no time or too much time, right? And so the interesting thing about what you just said is, yeah, it's kind of fun, like with Perplexity or whatever tool, I can have multiple tasks running, and I can come back, it'll tell me, if it needs anything, organization. And I literally went into Perplexity and I said, I'm struggling managing my remote employee, not his fault, it's just hard to do it. And I said, create a playbook for me, and I created like a whole PDF on a way to manage it, right? Part that would normally stop me, the part of like getting initiated, I just had to speak it, get out of my head, and it ran the rest for me. So yeah, I think you're right. Maybe this is the age of ADHD.
Yeah. And correct me if I'm wrong, you're not changing your tools. You've just figured out to use AI in your current tools, and then have new tools that you bring. The only thing that you mentioned changing in this, you mentioned moving from Outlook to Gmail because you like the way it looks better, but no tool changes.
No. I and the reason why, so again, I'm not a super techie guy, but I get the concepts, is that if you look at emails, you might have an email that falls under three categories, right? It's an FYI, it falls under your team, and there could be an action item, right? In Outlook, you'd have to create three different versions of that because it's not done with labels, right? And so I don't open up Outlook anymore, trying not to. And I'm using Gmail because I do think it's there's probably a reason, but Outlook is very tricky because it's hard to have interfaces. But with Gmail, I got my Salesforce connected to it. All these, it's much easier, right? So for me, it was just leveraging the tools that I already had. So it is actually a change because I told my assistant, you got to get on Outlook. It's too hard to look at stuff in Gmail. So I literally I used Perplexity and I said, how do I make Gmail look more like Outlook? It's pretty cool because I was just tired of getting stuck. And so these tools are helping me out a lot.
Yeah. Tell me about Perplexity Computer. How is it different from using, say, ChatGPT?
Now, Perplexity does access ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, all these different items, but it would create visuals. I didn't need to go to different ones. So I'd literally go look inside of my Gmail and create something that follows the path, that looks like NEXA, whatever. Right? And it was a one and done, and it's been really, really accurate, right? Whereas with ChatGPT, I'm like, create a picture, and it kind of downloads really, really slowly, and you know what I'm talking about? So again, not to have a problem with ChatGPT, but again, ChatGPT is good at certain things. So Perplexity just seems to be one and done. And it's created apps for me. I literally said to it, I go, hey, create an app for me for this. And it's an HTML app, right? And I can send it to people, right? And I didn't even know that. It's more expensive. I've got a certain amount of credits. I'm watching my credits dwindle. But when I look at the cost of what I would need to hire somebody to do that, it's just been working out really, really well.
Right. You can have all the efficiency for AI, not only in the loan manufacturing process, but across other business functions as well.
The other thing that I do is trying to manage my database. So I have a list of clients, and then I pulled a list of transactions from another source. And that list of transactions was printed, came on a spreadsheet, but it doesn't have phone numbers. So I literally said to Perplexity, please fill in all the blanks. Here are the names. Go into Jungo and fill out the rest of the form. And it got most of them done. And the ones that were blank, sometimes there wasn't a match between the names. And I saw one, I go, hey, Orthouse shows up as EJ Orthouse. And it says, great. And it found it for me. And then it still couldn't connect. I'm not 100% sure why. So I downloaded my list of contacts and I just stuck it in. I say, see if this helps, and take any of what's left and stick it into that spreadsheet, and it got most of my numbers. I went to my assistant and I said, instead of having hundreds of names to fill in, we have 50 or 60. So it's almost like if you can think about it, you can dream it, it can be done, but you got to know how to ask it correctly. Garbage in, garbage out.
The core loan manufacturing process, reaching out to clients, doing underwriting, doing processing, all that kind of stuff, reviewing income, asset, credits. How are you leveraging AI?
Well, 100%, this is that we've been working with you guys in Addy AI, and it continues to get better. There was a stretch there, no one's fault, where I couldn't figure out how to use Addy AI, right? And then you fixed it for me. What's really exciting on this is, again, there's a huge amount of effort on getting the pre-approval correct. So with Addy AI, as long as the systems go, like we had one recently and no one looked at it other than, I think I pressed the button, right? That's my job, I pressed the Addy AI. But it looked great, right? And so what that does is that allows the cost to produce that loan is to go down, right? So instead, Juan Miguel doesn't need to be quite as trained, right? He needs to follow. His job now is follow up and make sure the stuff is in there, and then let the system run it, right? And then Amber can review it. So it creates scale right there. And so again, if I'm in a situation where I've got 20 leads a month and I want to go to 40 leads a month, right? Instead of stacking more employees, I can have a lower cost, right? Which means I can have very competitive rates without cutting my margins. And now all of a sudden, you just do a time for money, and all of a sudden you can say, well, I can do it for 1.25 because I'm now with the same amount of effort closing more loans. Mm-hmm. So for me, that would be great because it's going to be really hard to beat me on rates. It already is, right? But I can literally start to pull out some of those costs, right? And the time and the effort. So yeah, we're super excited. The rest of my team can now focus on customer service and concierge stuff, right? So that makes a big difference. It's going to be really hard to beat us for cost and service. So there's a way to take your team and be more outward facing. If you're putting all your effort into manufacturing the loan, there's less time to get the loans.
What are some of the parts of the process do you think humans should 100% be responsible for? Like no AI, no automation, just a human should do this?
Great question. And what I would tell you is this: if I had to say, I would really say catering to the clients, right? really going in depth with the client. The job that a processor does carries a certain dollar, hourly rate, right? The fact that the cost of failure is so high means that they get paid more, right? So if you have a processor that's really, really good at what they do, they're going to make more than somebody else because there are fewer mistakes and all that, right? And so somebody that's on that front end, I would be concerned for them, because if they can use the tools to quickly figure out where, the issues are, I would be concerned, because that is a role that we could replace. But again, that person, let's say we have a great processor. As we start to use it, we would just want her to become more comfortable and leverage her time so that the tools take care of it. Because again, it would be really, really great to go and say, hey, you can handle 15 loans a month and do a great service, right? And that starts to fray at the edges. But if we do it this way, you could do 60 loans a month, right? Because you don't need to deal with all these little components. But we're always going to have to deal with clients. Systems tell us when there's a problem.
Mm-hmm. That human emotional elements, the thing that AI cannot replicate, I think is going to be the biggest advantage that humans have.
I'm sure there's a way for the AI to read the voice modulation, but that's also something that some people are good at. So let's just assume that I'm not blowing smoke. I tend to be pretty good at picking up hints, right? I think that's true. I can come back with a rather unique response on how to answer them, because sometimes people read passive aggressive or whatever. So sometimes what they say isn't really what they want you to respond back to, right? So I think AI might have an issue with that. Again, nothing's impossible, but we still need that human component so that they know that you really, really care, right? And, it makes a difference. And so, yeah, I think that's going to be the spot for those human people out there, right? Your job needs to be customer facing. I think those are the most secure jobs, as well as people that are working with an AI, right? But be as customer facing as possible, right?
Accessibility too, don't you think? Like, the human should always be accessible. When I call customer service, like, press this for this and this for that. If you want to speak to a human, press this.
100%. But what I would like to do, kind of triggered another thought for me, is I do want to have a situation where people could call and have an AI assistant call, but would want it to be different, right? My thought on this is just me riffing from before, is someone called, because we want to have accessibility, right? And I'd love for someone to call up and that person, has a quick conversation, but I would want the AI to very much indicate up front, I just want to let you know I'm an AI, right? This is being recorded, and this is not replacing the team, but the team is busy and we want to cater to you. So if you have an issue, we, leave a message, but we can expedite, the process.
So there are some certain things where an AI could help provide like upfront value, and then they can escalate to a human if they need to in the future. Juan, I know we're coming up on time here.
Yeah. And by the way, this is very interesting to me, and part of the reason why I wanted to chat with you on this is because I'd love for you and I to continue to share ideas, because I respect you. What you guys do is fantastic. We want to continue to see ADDI AI improve, and it's been, and all that, and the feedback's amazing. But now you kind of get that idea of how impactful it can be in the business, right? And just so you know, I fired it. I'm going to have Arrive connected to my Salesforce, right? Because those can sync back and forth to get rid of some duplicate items, right? And so I don't know if there's ever going to be a situation where, Addy could talk to Salesforce. I don't know, right? Maybe Perplexity can do it for me. But as long as you can, it doesn't matter if there's more than one system, as long as the systems are connected and they have really good syncs, right?
Yeah.
Right. There's always improvement. But I enjoyed this time. It has my brain thinking, and you asked me some questions that make me feel good about where things are going. So
yeah. We can certainly help with connecting to Salesforce too. I think we've done some work in the past with Salesforce. Juan, what do you want other loan originators, other loan officers, processors, just generally people working in the mortgage process, what do you want them to think about when they hear the word AI next?
Get used to it. I don't know if that's one word. Don't fear it. And what I would the other thing I would say is there's two roles in the world. There's sales and people that support sales, right? So no matter whether you're a processor or whomever you are, always try to figure out a way to create the best customer service. We have underwriters at some of our investors that call us and give us that warm and fuzzy feeling. So I basically say leverage AI to make yourself better, right? Just deal with it. You're going to figure out how to use it, or you might find yourself, struggling.
Wonderful. That's a perfect place to end it. Juan, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
You appreciate it. Let's keep working together, right? Go Addy.
Go Addy.